Okay, so ladies, gentlemen, ready to go? Coop, you okay? Alright. Ladies, ready? Okay, so, alright. So, the topic that we are doing is this one. How do Daguerre and Wright use language and literary devices to create their characters? I'm really glad you picked this one. This one was like the one that I was secretly hoping that you would pick. Mainly because, again, it's another one of those questions that nobody picks because they think it's really hard, when actually it's really, really easy. And it's a bit of a, there is so much to choose from that you could just kind of play to your own strengths. That's the beauty of this question. But lots of people don't want to talk about it because they're like, oh, that's all the text construction. I'm not ready to talk about that. So they don't do it, and then you can mop the floor with them and show how smart you are. So that's the question. So let's have a look. So language and literary devices. Language and literary devices. Obviously, oh, no, that's right. I can't highlight in yellow on this one because it turns everything crazy. Let's go with pink. Language, literary devices. Hey. Oh, by the way, I restocked up. I've got more Chupa Chups, and instead of shapes, I got twisties and cheese and bacon balls and chips. So there's new stuff. Alright. Alright. So, ladies, gents. Okay, so the question's really asking us two things: to talk about language and literary devices, and language is a literary device, so that we can group as one. To create their characters, so we also have to talk about character development. Okay, and like what kind of shapes a character. So let's first just kind of get our heads around the idea of language and literary devices. When you think about language and these two texts, what do you think? What kind of language things stand out the most? Good. Chappell's writing style. It's called prose. Or verse. Prose or verse. You could even call it poetry. It really is a form of poetry because it's just couplets. Yeah, so we've got Chappell's writing, prose, verse, poetry, whatever you want to call it. Ava, what else do you think when you think Black Diggers, longest memory, language? Good, the dehumanizing language. I'm just going to size up a little bit. I feel like this writing's very small. I'll go bigger. Oh, I'll send them to you at the end. Yeah, I send them to the kids. I just don't crowd your inbox because I figure you got better stuff to do. Okay. Jessie! Well, yeah, language and literary devices. So language, anything from language that you kind of glean about longest memory Black Diggers. Abdul.
Use of letters?
Yeah, letters. Good. They both use letters. Oh, sorry, I'm not rewarding. My bad. So hang on, Chappell's writing style. That was from Old Mate. What do you want? Chupa Chup? Chips? You got to be specific, mate. Oh, new flavour, raspberry. Great. Twisties. And Ava, did you say something? Chupa Chup or Haribo or chips? Little balls? Cheeto balls. They're almost impossible to throw. They weigh about like a tiny bit. Alright. Yes, darling. Bosco.
The long monologue, so that's the ghost.
Good, yeah, monologue. What would you like?
Chop anything. Yeah, that works.
Right. Yes?
Nigel's articulate speech.
Good. Nigel's. Learned, is that right?
Yeah, I reckon it's more learned than articulate. Like articulate's the way you know.
Yeah, but you're gonna need more than one word for it. Like, like throughout the discussion of it.
And that says learn as well, it's not learned.
It also says learned, but it depends on the context. Right. Come on. You don't have to be here. You could go home, you could go to Westfield, you can do lots of things with your time now. You're 18. Brookie. Good, okay. So I guess fluid timelines. Yeah, they both do it. Yeah.
Non-linear?
Yeah. Yeah, linear. That non-linear. That's right. Right. Elise. Songs. The use of songs. What do you want, darling? Cheetos? What do you want, darling? Strawberry and cream or lemonade? Yes.
Like offensive language?
Offensive language. Are we putting that with dehumanizing language?
Yeah,
It's also used to,
Alright, I'll put it up.
and it could characterize the Aboriginal people as a whole.
But it's also used because we are going to find it offensive. So it uses the N-word and it uses like coon and stuff like that because we will have such a visceral reaction and we don't see that from the other people. So we actually kind of go, oh, wow, that was such a normal thing. So I do agree that word offensive does kind of work because it is like they're playing with the offensiveness of the word. That we cringe, but the rest of the audience doesn't. The rest of the people involved don't.
guys, can we be respectful, please?
You okay, Cooper? Are you making fun of her? Leave her alone. Rude. Chuppa Chup or chips or Haribo? Watermelon, strawberry. Hey, that's pretty much the only good throw I've done so far. Anything else? We got lots so far. Who's behind the head? Hannah.
The more simplistic language of the uneducated slave and songs compared to the white characters like Nigel and Chucky.
Yep. So, simplistic language from uneducated characters. So, like, when we have Grandad where he says, I can't write nothing. Yeah? It's anything, not nothing. Yep. Yeah, so we've got Lydia's writing and, like, Mr. Whitechapel's writing and stuff, yep. Sorry, I missed that.
Consecutive characters of Lydia. I mean, chapters of Lydia, sorry. The placement of them and the consecutive. Sorry.
Ava, what would you like? Watermelon, lemonade, strawberry and cream. Lemonade. I've got everyone on that lemonade train. It's so good. It's actually my favourite flavour at the moment. Yes.
The giving of and deprivation of names.
Good, yeah.
Creates characters.
The use of names. Like giving some names, playing with names. Yeah. Hang on, I'm just going to size up this writing again. Alright. Whoop. Alright, the use of names, so that is the giving, the giving by director, the taking by director, you know, like depriving them of names. I'm just kind of like writing down in my head, like cook, like giving them like the job rather than the name, the Whitechapel thing.
What about giving Indigenous European names?
Yeah, Aboriginal people all have white names. Right. Alright. So, I feel like already we have quite a lot of stuff, you know, to get about with. Like, if, you know, for a question that a lot of people will balk at and go, oh, I don't really know how to do that question. Very quickly, we have come up with an absolute ton of stuff that is all, this is all, you know, text construction stuff. This is all construct. But so few of you will write about this stuff in your essays. It's really strange. Use this as evidence. You know, in your essays, we want text construction in your essays. A high range result will talk about text construction, that they will understand that this text is really just a construction put together to forward ideas. Does that make sense? So, now what we need to do is start kind of going, how do we want to put it together? So, we've got, how do Daguerre and Wright use language and literary devices to create their characters? So we could go a couple of ways. We could go by like idea and say, here are 3 things that are important to the construction of a character, to create depth in character. Or we could kind of pick on 3 language and literary devices to kind of explore a whole bunch of building. What do you think? Well, if we go through 3 things that build a character, it does mean that we are going to be able to touch more of these devices, which, when the question is asking about language and literary devices, we want to show our knowledge of language and literary devices. So technically, we would want to touch more of those. Does that make sense? So, what could we say is very important to the characters that we're exploring? What would you say is like kind of, I guess, integral to our characters?
Experiencing freedom.
Good, yeah, experiencing kind of, yeah, their experience of freedom or not. Yeah? Okay. So, can I flip a page? Is that okay? Yep. Okay. So, experiences of freedom. Okay, and like whether they are really free or not. That's a really interesting idea. Yep. What other kind of things could I talk about? Elise. Trauma. Yeah, their experiences of trauma. Yep. And then what's another kind of key feature of our characters?
The lack of sense of belonging.
Good, yeah, I think belonging is a really good one to do. Yeah, identity and belonging. I love it. Well done. What would you like? Yeah? You said one. What did you say? What would you like? Haribo? Strawberry and cream. Ooh. And Lise? I've got raspberry. Have you tried raspberry? It's new. It's better than strawberry. Yeah. Alright. There are days that I wish my crutch was back. You could really bang them against them. Right. Ladies. Thank you. Okay, so we've got our 3 things that we're shaping our characters through identity and belonging, their experiences of trauma, and their experiences of freedom, or not, depending on who you're talking about. Yes, Finton?
I really think we should talk about the counterfeit Atlantis as well. There's a passage
Hey,
in that.
I don't know why that was funny.
I don't know either. Yeah, but well, it's mirroring. I don't know. It's characterizing the slaves' thoughts, how they want to reach the north.
Like they believe. So the bit about counterfeit Atlantis. Get your smug look off your face and try to put off Finton, the poor thing. Right. So Finton's talking about the bit in The Longest Memory. They talk about a counterfeit Atlantis, referring to like freedom, or like, you know, going north, being, you know, freed from slavery. That Whitechapel views it as like a counterfeit Atlantis. Atlantis is like a mystical world that's like a utopian world, right? And it's like the story. It's from like myth. It's from like Greek myth, and so it's describing, you know, freedom, or like, you know, escape, north, as a counterfeit Atlantis. That it's not, you know, like it pretends to be.
Yeah, it's a dream that can't
Yeah,
come true. Sorry,
it's
I obsess over it.
yeah, it's a dream that's not real. Like it, you know, it's not what it's pretending to be. And I think that actually, that description would work really, really well in that Experiences of Freedom.
Yeah.
You could definitely use it there. Yeah. Particularly when it comes to Whitechapel. Yeah, you could even go as specific, particularly because the question asks about how do they use language. You could go in and talk about in the monologues how Whitechapel describes his depiction is this very, very kind of flowery imagery of a counterfeit Atlantis, and then you could pull it apart. Definitely, if you really want to talk about that quote, it would work really well. Sound good? It works. So, alright, so if this is the case, let's talk about what we would put where. So, if we're going to talk about experiences of freedom and how the experiences of freedom help us understand, help us to create these characters, what language and literary devices would you assign to that? Their experiences of freedom. Yeah, writing style. Where is that? There it is. And maybe pair that with Chapel's writing style. Yeah. So you could say, you know, both authors use writing style to kind of show that there is a sense of freedom, you know, in being able to express yourself. Sorry, I'm just cutting and pasting now. Where is it? Here it is. Cut. Paste. There it is. Okay. So we're going to go with this. Why can't I go up? Okay, it doesn't want me to. So we're going to say use of expressive language in oppressed characters shows what? Whoop, shoes. Shows what? What does it show? That
Their expression is like a sort of freedom. And you can make that with video, right? And that's only say that you
and even that they both yearn for a sense of freedom too. You know, in both of them we can really hear their yearning for freedom. Through obviously Nigel's, you know, pleas for someone to care that his people are being slaughtered. And, you know, certainly Chapel expresses it perfectly when he says, you know, when he says that he's running and he says, you know, I feel joy, not fear. You know, we hear two people who yearn for freedom. Yeah, and that creates like a three-dimensional character. When you know a character yearns for something, you know, when they desperately want something, then they're more than just a one-dimensional character. They have feelings, you know, feelings that are very complex. Yes?
same with Leah, because she doesn't have a say for anything like that. So when she writes her letters in the newspaper, that's
Yeah.
very representative.
Excellent. Okay. So we'd have to go the experiences of freedom in BD and the longest memory. Help to show that repressed. Help to represent three-dimensional characters. Because remember, the question is about, like, how does it build characters? And then I'm talking about, so that would almost be like my topic sentence. And then I would use the language and literary devices as my evidence. Make sense? Okay, so we've got the use of expressive language in oppressed characters shows that these characters yearn for freedom. Chapel's writing style, Nigel's articulate, learned writing style, and Lydia expressing her opinions in the Virginian also shows this, as it is her only outlet for opinions. Yes, darling.
Because you bring in the idea of, and this could be going too far outside the text, that this literary, sorry, I'm playing something else, I can't see, that prescription.
I do that sometimes too.
So could you bring in the Shakespeare analogy, like the hanging in the stars and the rhyming couplets with that really sort of aspect solidifies this idea of yearning for freedom, you know, and it echoes and resonates with the Shakespearean
Definitely.
broken line.
Do we have anything that uses kind of like literary reference in Black Diggers that we could kind of
No,
flip on? That's the only thing.
unlike the straightforward prose of rights,
Yeah, of like,
people in Indigenous Australia. So
Okay, so let me just kind
I
of.
suppose, although it's not literary, it's not poetic, the ability of Nigel to become a journalist, in particularly at that time, and his race is significant, and it's just as significant as Chapel in the 17th, 18th century, to be able to understand and read and memorise Shakespeare. Could you make that parallel?
You could.
That's really going to take us.
Yeah, but I'm just worried about like going back to the question about build character. Okay. He doesn't like to be exposed to sucroses. Yeah. So, are there any other literary devices that kind of pair with that idea of experiences of freedom? Where are we? No, wrong one. This one. Yeah.
I think it's the man with a glass of wine or something. He says blessed war, no, cursed war but blessed or something like that. That's because he experienced true freedom during the war, like freedom of
Yeah, actually, yeah, when they,
racial oppression.
yeah.
This man with the glass clothes, would you say he's probably white because he doesn't have a name?
No, he says he says he's Aboriginal. Yeah, yeah, he does say that.
Now you know how I feel like you don't use your
Have you even read the text?
No, I just read the notes.
Just download it on SparkNotes. Yeah. Is there actually a SparkNotes? No, there wouldn't be SparkNotes. No. There's lots of, like, if you do want to have a look at, like, guides, I've got a few guides if you want to borrow them. Pardon? Well, yeah. I just bought them. So what were we saying? I've lost my train of thought. The Man of the Glass, that's right. Yes, Minerva. Guys. Okay, I might just do Finton's one and then I'll come to you. Is that okay? So, man with a glass. What is it? Man with a glass of wine. Wine is made to state
Curse war.
curse
Blessed.
war.
For it brought me into the fold.
Yes, Jules, I am that.
I'm obviously not that good a typist.
So what do they mean by fold?
So when you are brought into the fold, it means like, it's almost like, I would picture like a bird and like putting it under your wing.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're being brought in. Yeah. Yeah. Being included. Alright. Shall we do the next one? Or, Minerva, did you want to add something? Sorry, darling.
No,
Great.
Say,
Great. Sorry, I'm trying to do 100 things at once. Okay.
Yeah, no, because a lot of the characters in those texts get an experience or a taste of freedom that they can't have. So, like, with Chapel, he was raised not as with his slave nature, with like, and in like when they went to war, they sort of experienced equality, and when they came back, they realized that they can't have it anymore.
Yeah, so we learn about characters. We learn about like the depth of their kind of yearning for freedom through like their tastes of it, kind of thing. So the characters are given tastes of freedom in order to show us like how desperate they are for it. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. When he's given the ability to write, yeah. Definitely. Characters are given a taste of freedom by the authors in order to explore the Alright. Alright. So, we've got two really good points in this. See what I mean about this question? You feel like, oh, I'd have nothing to say about this question. Already, my biggest worry with this first paragraph is, am I going to have time to write all of this? I have so many ideas, but am I going to have time to write all of this? Probably not. I'd probably have to choose my battles. But isn't that a better situation to be in than, oh shit, I've got nothing to say after paragraph 1? Like, I would much rather be in this position.
You don't have time in the exam to make a plan B.
Of course. Yeah. You have to make time. You have to make time, Abdul. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, it's not given to you on a silver platter, but you gotta make time. See ya. Questions? Manova, what would you like, my love? Lollipop? What flavour? I've got strawberry, lemonade, strawberry and cream. Good choice. Oh, and by the way, don't forget dictionaries are still available.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, they probably are. Alright, next one. So,
Yes. Can you bring the idea of memory and trauma?
yeah, trauma in the memory, yeah, and its memories.
Yeah, and yeah, I was about to say, I think the idea that memory rises to the surface, that notion. And how in both texts, the authors heavily use the idea of memory and how it's
I don't have to be here.
So I don't know how we'll get that as in a literary device.
It's reflective.
Reflective, okay. Yeah, the reflection of memory.
Yeah, so they give us, both texts create character backstories with tremendous trauma in order to develop three-dimensional characters. So they're not flat. They're not just like, oh, it's Jeff the baker. He bakes bread. Like, it's characters that have, like, complexity to them. Yeah, it's just like, that they're not just characters that it's like, oh, very boring, very flat, that they are like, that they have motives and feelings. Yeah, the white character's not three-dimensional at all. Like, even like Stan, who gets a name, he's still very one-dimensional. Yeah, whereas like Tommy, we see that he has like feelings and motives and all of these kinds of things. He has damage, he has ambition, like he's got all of these things that someone like Stan doesn't have. Yeah. Right. So, I need examples from the text that show me that. Now, can I just bring to your attention that I'm doing something that's a bit tricksy, in that, like, I think that we feel very bound to kind of go, oh, I have to, you know, when it says literary devices or text construction, I have to be very kind of stringent in that I have to talk about language and whatever. But everything in the text is text construction. It's all a construct. None of it is real. Like, it's all been fabricated. So it's really about how you word it. So, for instance, instead of me just going, the characters have backstories, I'm saying my authors create those backstories. And therefore, because I've said it's a creation, I've turned it into text construction. Now it is a literary element because of how I'm wording it. Does that make sense? Yep. So it's all about how you word things. So I'm saying character construction is actually a literary device. Because it is. It is a literary device. Creating a character is part of creating literature. Yes, Maddie.
Could you say, in the understanding, using letters from fantasy sort of brings back the trauma and the meanings of experience? So like we see like what happened with his wife.
So giving him that kind of backstory creates his three-dimensional character. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think he's a really interesting character because, like, he could be such a one-dimensional villain, but he's not, because we see that he has this great love for this dead wife. It'd be so easy to kind of see him as, like, just a gross rapist. And he is a gross rapist, but he's also a father and a very loving husband that has done something in the depths of his grief. Does that make sense? Like, we don't condone what he does to cook, but we understand it. We don't condone it, but we understand how he got to that point. Yeah. Okay, so Sanders Senior's letters. Diary entries. Diary entries, aren't they?
Unless it's because Archie was his own author. Archie and Bertie.
Entries. Create traumatic backstory that helps us to better understand how he gets to the point of raping. Additionally,
Iron Harvest. Sorry, Dick.
Waiting.
5 minutes. The Iron Harvest.
Alright. Alright, who said that? Maddie, what do you want? Cheese balls. That was unexpected. Oh, I'm not sure if I've got any more cheese balls. I do have Twisties and I have burger rings. Okay. Alright. I just redeemed myself in Maddie's eyes. She was just like, you betray me. What?
Yes.
Alright, so Sanders Senior, and I love that we're using Sanders Senior because I feel like he is a great peripheral character and we get very lazy and we end up just talking about main characters. Use your peripheral characters like Cook, like Sanders Senior. Use people outside of the norm. And Sanders Senior is a really great one. And I think for this question particularly, because it's such a deliberate thing that Daguerre is doing. Like, he definitely gives us that to actually build his character, to go, hey, everyone's got a story, that there aren't such things as one-dimensional villains. Like, people are bad for a reason. Yep.
With trauma and memories, can we talk about Bertie's grandfather?
Yeah,
And
because...
how his experience on his land being taken away.
Good, yeah. So, how would I talk about... I'm just trying to kind of figure out how I would talk about it in terms of a literary device. I guess I could talk about, like, the creation of him as a character gives us the backstory of him, of, like, not just him, but the greater story of, like, Aboriginal, transgenerational trauma and like, the stealing of land and stuff like that, like, what those people went through. Yeah, good. archetype. Yay. Is it granddad? I always get this mixed up. Granddad? Granddad created as an archetype to represent
Australia, never heard of it.
what
It's meant to be sarcastic. It's like Australia. That's what Australia's the white name for it.
Archetype's a typical example of something, isn't it?
yeah, so it's like a representation, like a symbol almost. So you'd say like yeah.
It's like a stereotype.
Yeah. So we put up our college captains and we go, they are an archetype of what Merrymead students are. What we'd want them to be. There we go. That's probably better. What we'd want them to be. I mean, not Daniel. I mean, but like Mariam. Yeah, Mariam definitely. But like Daniel. No, I'm joking. I love Daniel. He's lovely. He was actually supposed to come tonight, but he didn't come. Rude.
I think he was here. I think under the word.
Well, yeah, then definitely not. Alright, hang on. Granddad created as an archetype to represent what older Aboriginal people suffered. So, like, lack of education, land stealing, and, like, even just, like, being forced into Western ways. You know how he talks about, like, that his granddad, like, walking over fences? So, like, yeah, being forced into Western culture. Jacko. The Iron Harvest. Good. The symbolism of the Iron Harvest.
I dream about the Iron Harvest.
You say you actually granddad's created. Can you say that? No, slaves.
Yeah. Of like slaves that. Yeah. Slaves that were indoctrinated.
But they kept him, so he could be of benefit to him.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, I'm going to go back because Abdul has said something that I do want to use, particularly because remembering that we still have to do comparison within all of this, and he's gone, if Grandad is the archetype to represent older Aboriginal people, could we say that Whitechapel is the archetype of the indoctrinated slave, the slave that was brainwashed? So, Whitechapel is the archetype of the indoctrinated slave. Yeah. And
Did you bring in the Weiss here?
no, Lise.
Could you say the letters in Black Diggers, like from Birdie and Archie?
Yeah.
His mum and his auntie.
Definitely.
So the trauma.
The letters from Archie and Birdie to an extent. We only see that one kind of partial letter of Birdie.
Letters from the sky, they encapsulate the entirety
Of the damage, yeah.
of the trauma. The delicate scar that's created from the sun.
Vetri, Bertie, and the letters from the ceiling. Alright, can you see our issue? Our issue is not, we don't have anything to say. Our issue is, how the dear Lord do we choose? We've got so much gold. We've hit like, I don't know, Ballarat. What did you say? Treasure, yeah, kind of. Hang on, who said that? That was Elise and Jack, wasn't it? I didn't reward Jack. Right. Burger rings? What? Burger rings? Oh, no more burger rings. Twisties? Twisties are the best. Twisties are my number one.
Yeah, I literally told him I was like,
Well, then you'll need to share with Elise because I've only got like normal text. My God. And see ya. And what would you like, my love? I don't. I only have these chips left. That'll work. That'll work. All right. I think I'm up to date. Was there someone that I missed to give lollies to? Jenny said nothing.
No, who just said I
you have no right.
Pardon?
Who just said I didn't?
Who did?
Bridget.
Bridget. Oh, lollipop? What would you like? What do you want?
What do you have?
I've got Haribos. I've got barbecue shakes. I've got Chupa Chups. What would you like? Haribo. Whoop. Alright. Last one. Identity and belonging, my loves. Identity and belonging. Identity and belonging. Identity and belonging. Names, the use of names. Names, the use of names.
Or the author's choice.
Names.
Bestow names upon characters or to deny them. Sorry.
Right. Gives names
Or did you write the authorial decision?
to
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Alright, so Wright gives names to make oppressed characters have individual stories and therefore have an identity in building character. Longest memory, what does it do with names? The idea of names that changes, that develops character.
Dehumanizing. They're no longer human.
Good, yeah.
How many friends?
Aww. He has hair. He has hair. Beautiful hair. Very nice. He does have lots of hair.
Have you seen it out? It's like
It is very long. His hair. Names given in the longest memory. Dehumanize. So, for instance, cook. You know, cook being like it's an occupation. It's not a person. She never gets a name. And then Whitechapel carries the name of his owner. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Murray, wasn't it Murray River?
Yeah, yeah. George's Street.
And giving them white names also makes them less belonging because they've got European names, yet they don't fit in the society and they're not white.
Names given in the longest memory dehumanize, and thus shows another level of the character's dispossession. Yeah?
Oh, really?
That sounds like a Skype call. Right. Han.
Most sort of names like in the block, like nicknames they get from the black characters, dark.
Yep. Hurtful language from both texts, really. Darky, Coon, Cooney. What else do we do? Black Devil, Pickaninny, if you can remember how to spell it. Picka. No, but like these are all Black Diggers ones. So Darky, Cooney, Black Devil, Pickaninny, that's all Black Diggers. I don't think there's any other Black Digger ones that I can think of off the top of my head. It's like Calf.
There's calf in both.
Pardon?
There is calf in both.
Oh, there's Calf in both, yeah.
You say like the Black Diggers, the white people are called like taxidermists. Like they don't have names. It's like their job.
Yeah, that
So
they.
the only white.
Yeah. Alright, I'll just finish this idea, otherwise I'll forget it. The longest memory has, obviously, it has nigger, it has investment.
Remember, it doesn't, does it?
No. Stock.
And even the idea when, after the death of Chapel, Whitechapel is shunned by his own, and that whole like he then becomes sour face, and
Yeah.
that
He gets
whole-
hurtful names, yeah.
Not sit down, but they're really old ones. Yeah.
Be nice. Right. Hannah, what would you like? I've only got shapes left. Pardon? What type of chop chop? Pardon? Name a flavour and I've got it probably. Pardon? Yeah. Yeah. Whoop. Please. While you pick something out of your teeth.
I'm not hungry. I'm actually steak. Yeah.
I'm not even hungry. I'm just
I'm not
taking
gonna
it
eat
now.
tonight.
God, you're easily filled. Okay. There was something else I was going to write.
What I said.
Oh. And that, white people are not given names to further, not repress, but like further diminish.
Yeah.
Alright. So, white characters are not given names to further diminish their character's importance and thereby, like, kind of emphasizing the black character's, like, three-dimensionalness. Do you know what I mean? Anything else? For names? Name, what's in a name?
Belongings. I was going to talk about it before with the trauma, but Whitechapel was taken from his land, and he reminisces about that. And the granddad also reminisces about how the land was taken from him.
Mm-hmm.
So
How are we going to put that in with literary devices?
yeah, I'm not sure, but how they reminisce, they're kind of in their own world, where
It's a good comparison, but I don't know if it works for this.
yeah,
How I would fit it in. But I like it.
She's doing no transgenerational trauma.
That is trauma right there.
Passed down from teacher
Right.
to my daughter.
you did.
So we've got names. We've got right users' names to make oppressed characters have like a more dimension to them than the white characters who don't get names. We've got names are used in the longest memory to dehumanize and thus shows another level of the character's dispossession. Hurtful language from both texts. We see like what the characters suffer. Anything else with names? Oh, the other thing that you were saying about names, about
They're given white names.
they're given white names. Yeah.
So when they fit in.
What do you mean they give them
Hey, where we going? Hey, can I ask you
As in Whitechapel is a white person's name. And even like the Black Diggers guys, they're all like Mick. Like,
Harry and
do you really think the name Mick was around before white people came around? Yeah.
What about the you know, for letters, the letters, and did we go through that, or did I just
Yeah, correspondence.
correspondence? What about in the Virginian when they bring up what to do with the half cuts and the whole idea of where they belong? This is names.
Alright. I feel like people have kind of lost it at this stage. Alright. Well, that's fine, because we've just finished the plan anyway. So, ladies, gentlemen, hopefully, by kind of teasing this all out, it shows you that there's nothing to be afraid of when you get a text construction question. In fact, you should kind of actually embrace it, because there is loads to talk about in these two texts, and there are loads of similarities in these two texts in terms of structure. Loads. So, ladies, gentlemen, we're done here. It's been a pleasure as always. Go out. Enjoy yourselves. So...